Ladies and gents, let's have a quick detour in Burkina Faso. All right.
Take a look at this. I want you to look at this video. All these things you are seeing like this are made in Burkina Faso. All this is armored tanks, war trucks, a lot of them. Take a look, it's massive. How big it is. And all of them is made in Burkina Faso.
Guys, I sit here and I ask myself, why is it that in the majority African leaders have failed to acknowledge the achievements of the Sahel region, being Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, regardless of the countless positive achievements that have been achieved by these particular gentlemen within the very short timeline that they have been in the office of the presidency. I mean, you ask yourself, really, you ask yourself, in the majority, why? Leaders, I'm not only talking about political leaders that are in the office of the president. I'm talking about opposition, leaders, so-called, basically politicians in the majority, if not all of them in Africa, have failed to acknowledge the ridiculous achievements of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And the basic question becomes why? And I think if we ask ourselves that question and we start interrogating it, we might come across something a lot more, perhaps sinister, in terms of the leadership of Africa, that can make us realize something that we've been very ignorant towards as the people of Africa. Okay? Number one, the leadership of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger is embracing something that fights democracy. That's the first thing that we need to understand. It actually proves that democracy in itself is systematically built to fail. And this is why, under democratic leadership of these particular three governments, these particular three countries, those countries have never achieved not even 5% of the results that the military juntas have been able to achieve in almost less than 2 years, all of them. If you look at the achievements that they have done within the 2 years to 3 years that they've been in power, they have achieved 95% of what the leadership of that country has failed to achieve 5% of that. Throughout, and if you look at the democratic years that they have had, all right, countries such as Mali, you go and you look at the democracy that they've had and for how long they've had that democracy and how it has never worked for them. Burkina Faso, Niger, all of them, all right? And then you go back and then now you get military juntas that are not suckers to the Western imperialists, all right? Rather, they actually care about their people and they are willing to put their lives on the line for their people. And obviously, the media does not like them across Africa, Europe, and whatnot. They keep lying about them. But you actually go and look at the ground results of what these people have been able to achieve. They have been the proof that democracy is a lie. Okay, that democracy is not meant to resolve the people's challenges because they took power in undemocratic means, and yet they have achieved more in their leadership than democratic leaders have been able to achieve. They have achieved that in 2 years when the democratic leadership of those countries have failed in over 30, 40, 50 years to achieve 5% of what these leaders have achieved in 2 years. What does that say about democracy? And this is why I believe it is absolutely necessary that the African political leaders that are there must either be silent or they must speak negative about this because they are preparing either for the fact that when they take office, they should not be subjected to the same requirements of achievements that these three leaders have been able to achieve for their countries, number one. Or number two, because they are currently in government, if they start praising that leadership, it's going to be speaking to their own failures. So they are not able to speak about that. That's number two. So you have to systematically go and look at it and say, wow, what has happened? You look at the amount of accountability that has been happening. These guys, they dissolve parliament immediately. all right? What is it? Ibrahim Traore fired the prime minister of the country when he realized that there was a lot that was happening wrong. I don't know if he had nullified parliament or what, but I do know that Assimi Goïta has nullified parliament, and then I think that he's resetting things, all right, in his country. Like, these are the guys that are not willing to compromise anything. You are corrupt, they want to remove effective immediately, all right? You look at the amount of accountability, for instance, that Assimi Goïta has done in Niger, where he has gone after the mining companies that have been failing to pay taxes, and he has went as far as arresting the CEOs of those countries and the executive management of those companies, all right, holding them indefinitely until they've determined what taxes have been missed and a payment plan, and even paying a deposit before they release those leaders. I'm in South Africa, and I'm thinking, imagine arresting the leadership of Anglo-American or Ivan Platz in South Africa. Yo, Jehovah, it would start a turmoil. But these are the leaders that are uncompromising in their leadership. And you can understand the importance of them in the bigger African global structure, and why the African leaders in the majority will never endorse them. I understand why Ramaphosa and his entire echelon and the failing ANC will never endorse them, all right? And I think other political parties are not endorsing them for the very same reason that I'm saying, because they want to lower the bench. They don't want to move the bench up, that when they take political power, they are then forced to achieve the same results as these guys, because they are basically preparing to fail. They are preparing room for themselves so that when they fail, it is acceptable. Because right now, we as the society have been given a mentality to accept failure under the banner of democracy. We have been tuned to accept failure under the banner of democracy. To say, no, it's absolutely not democratic that Cyril Ramaphosa is still a president in South Africa after countless failures, and him failing to pay tax in South Africa in terms of the pala dollars that were found under the mattress and in the couches. That alone is enough to have removed him in terms of leadership, but it has not. Okay? So you look at these leaders and you believe this democracy is a sham. It's a complete scam to dangle the carrot in front of the resident until so that we keep on saying democratically. We will never, I now doubt that we will win under democracy. Or at least we might have some wins, all right? But we will not have the wins that the likes of Burkina Faso or Niger are having under the military juntas, So I wanted to just say, the reason why the African leadership politically, at a political level in the majority, will never endorse the achievements of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger is because they know that those achievements are a complete proof that democracy is a sham and that the leadership of the country is not based on democratic principles. If you want to achieve what the people require, you might have to move beyond democratic means in order to achieve it, and that it can be achieved. They're the indication that miraculous things can be achieved, and that the economic structure can be changed effectively, quickly, that the structure of the country can be restructured almost with immediate effect, and the country can be turned to be beneficial to the resident of that country without endorsing international cooperations. And that they don't want us to learn that. They don't want us to accept that, because if we accept that, we can easily get rid of multinational corporations that are coming from America, from Europe, and from Asia, from all other countries that are benefiting at our expense, when the majority of our people are unemployed and they are living below the dollar line, the poverty dollar line, where people cannot afford food and basic needs and necessities. Democracy is a scam. These three leaders in Africa, they have proved that. Sanibona bafethu.